Good evening, everyone. This is a quick video to kind of go over what I had sent, in the PowerPoint already, but just kind of reinforcement or just, you know, going over the same thing for your group project. So some of the requirements are like you have to have two student populations. Um, Whether you're doing it as a group or solo, make sure you select two student populations from the list that I sent already. So that's what you will be working on. And these, the populations you've chosen, obviously, they do face challenges. In fact, all student populations that come to community colleges face some kind of challenges, and they definitely need a lot of support. So you can start your presentation by kind of, defining who these student populations are, giving an idea about their characteristics, their needs. For example, if they're first gen, what makes them first gen, what their challenges are, and what kind of support do they need in order to succeed. And you can even talk about their outcomes, right? How do they succeed? Do they complete? If not, what are the barriers that they face? That's what I would like you to focus here in your introduction. You don't have to base this to any specific community college. It doesn't have to be that you did a research on, community college in California, so you're talking about the student populations in that college. No, it is in general community college students. For example, if you want to talk about African American male students, any African American male student attending any community college, that's your base. And your information that you share has to be based on research, based on articles you have read, the book you have had, or the video you have watched. If you have spoken to someone, definitely you can include that as well. One thing I would insist that if you are a group of 3 people, all 3 must participate in the presentation. If you're solo, obviously it's just you. And it should consist about 10 to 12 slides. I would say keep it to a maximum of 15. No more than that, and no more than 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be very, very long. And the more engaging you are, the better it is. At the end, just kind of leave it with questions for your peers to think about. It doesn't mean that you're going to present it live and people are going to interact, but just questions for people to think about the 2 student populations you presented. So that's what you're leaving your peers with, some thoughts, Make sure someone from the group takes the responsibility to post it on the discussion board by the due date, and if you're solo, then you're responsible. One thing I would suggest is people, sometimes they just read what's on the slide. That is not a real presentation. What's on the slide is like a prompt for you to remember what to say, but the best way to go about it is by adopting a conversational style, as if you're talking, the way what I'm doing right now. I'm not simply reading what's on the slide, but kind of explaining what's on the slide. What's on the slide is my cue to remember to go over it. So just make sure you're just not repeating what's on the slide or reading it out. Then that's not a very engaging style. Your other requirement is, once it's posted on the discussion board, make sure you listen to at least one group's presentation and give feedback and see if you want to answer the questions that group has posed or that individual has posed. And I think you have time for all this until the 27th. Of course, you can listen to more than one group's presentation. There's no restriction, but the minimum is at least one. What are you going to focus, your main focus on? Based on your introduction, what strategies as an educational leader you would like to see put in place, or what is already in place. So you want to talk about what strategies are in place to help these students, and then talk about what other strategies you may want to see in place to further help these students. Um, and then, of course, like how can the community colleges kind of address these challenges and meet the needs of the two student populations you have chosen? What actions various stakeholders at the college, beyond the college, at the federal, local level, what can they do? Even what community leaders can do? How can everybody advocate for the success of these two student populations you have chosen? What can they do? What can they do? Concrete steps that they can take. And, in your research, did you find if there are any funding sources or grants that colleges could use? And sometimes, depending on what student population you've chosen, there's also like a national focus on the student population. For example, the first gen nationwide, there's a push to help these students succeed because they don't have anyone to fall back on. So if you are aware of something like that, discuss that. This is totally optional. If you know of someone in a community college who might know about this student, then you can talk to them and include the details that you get from them. I would suggest your best go-to resource would be the list of national organization I have listed under the Getting Started module as resources, particularly Achieving the Dream, Community College Research Center. They have a lot of good articles and studies based on different student populations. And of course, the articles that I have posted. And whether, you can also get articles from the library. Excuse me. So that's pretty much what it is. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. If after this you have some questions, email me. I will not be holding any more office hours per se, but if someone wants a Zoom call, I am available, so let me know. Anyway, all the best. I'm looking forward to your presentations. And of course, this week, your A2 paper is due on Saturday. All right. Hope to talk to you all soon.